It's time for Twig This Week in Google. There's lots to talk about this week. Jeff Jarvis and Kevin Tofel are here. We'll chart how Google's privacy policy has changed over the last 20 years. We'll debunk a rumor that Google's about to create a fourth telecom company. And we'll talk about the 25th anniversary of a little e-commerce startup you might know. It's all coming up next on Twig.
Netcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twig.
This is Twig, This Week in Google, episode 516, recorded Wednesday, July 10th, 2019. Skylab Coprolites. This Week in Google is brought to you by Ahrefs. Whether you work for a big brand, run your own small business, or do freelance work, getting traffic to your website is always a challenge. Ahrefs is an all-in-one SEO toolset that's here to help and give you the tools you need to rank your website in Google. For a 7-day trial for only $7, go to ahrefs.com to sign up. And by Capterra. Find the right tools to make an informed software decision for your business. Capterra is software selection simplified. Visit Capterra's free website at capterra.com/twig. And by ExpressVPN. Protect your online privacy with one click. It's that easy. For 3 extra months free with a 1-year package, go to expressvpn.com/twig. It's time for Twig This Week in Google, the show we cover Google, Linux, a little Google and some more Linux. No, I don't know where the Linux comes from, but we actually do have some Linux stories in our This Week in Google mixed in, like a little cream in your coffee. We also have some Facebook and Twitter, and we have a very sleepy Jeff Jarvis who is in Madrid right now, where he's had a couple of cervezas. He's had some jamón ibérico. He's had some queso fundido.
I went to a Mexican restaurant in Madrid, which is kind of insane, but you have queso fundido.
Oh, I'm so jealous.
And
was it good?
Taco al pastor con queso.
Oh, that's hysterical. That's Mexican food.
I know. That's what I did tonight. Because here's why.
Why?
It's because of you.
Me?
Because every restaurant opens at 9 o'clock.
Oh,
and
I know.
Be here at 10:30.
I know.
So I went over to the Goya stop on the metro and just tried to find a restaurant nearby that was open at 8 o'clock.
Oh, God. I know. Isn't that weird?
I hung out for an hour to get to 8 o'clock so I could have dinner.
Barcelona's like that, too. It's like you're going to the Denny's early bird dinner if you try to eat at 7. It's like, no, what?
All kinds of restaurants do not open until 9.
Yeah.
Open.
Well, I apologize, but I'm glad you got something delicious, it sounds like. And
it was good. It was so much.
What brings you to Madrid?
Delicioso y demasiado.
What's that?
The IAMCR, I don't even know what that stands for, academic conference. I'm giving a presentation tomorrow. Post-Gutenberg, post-Mass, you've heard it before.
It's the International Association for Media and Communication Research, IAMCR.
So I did that. I'm doing that tomorrow. I met with El País today and Ser Prisa Radio yesterday and university students tomorrow.
We forget because Jeff's here all the time. He's such a regular guy. He's so, he's always smart and everything. We forget that he's actually pretty damn famous in the general world about town. I mean, he's like in-demand speaker. So that's awesome, and congratulations, and what an honor.
I would be, if were it not for this, I would be at VidCon this week, which rescheduled into July. First time in 5 years, couldn't be there.
I wanted to go to VidCon with Michael because he's 16, and of course he does nothing.
Oh, perfect.
As anybody under 20 doesn't watch TV, they watch YouTube.
Yeah,
it's perfect. Their TV. Yeah, VidCon is an amazing event. Also with us, Kevin Tofel, co-host of
Dr. Chromebook.
Dr. Chromebook.
I am not as famous as Jeff. I'm just here as a backup utility player, I think.
Yeah, he's the shortstop who came in when Wally Pipp went out.
There you go, Wally Pipp. I'm repping my community college, Monco Community College.
Nice
hat today.
Are you done with that class?
I'm taking a summer class. Abstract data types, data structures. So yeah.
Wow. And you do that in Python?
Very cool.
No, that's in Java.
Java. Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Java.
So, how many students in the class, and what's the range of ability?
They're all better than me. Let's see.
No, you're humble.
It's kind of tricky, Jeff, because this particular class, being a 10-week summer class, is an online class. However, we do get together, 3, 4, sometimes 5 times a week at the campus library as a group to make it a little more social, to share ideas, basically to cheat. No. To
study.
No,
that's it. It's a study group.
It's a study group, exactly.
There
exactly.
is no cheating no more.
No. So it's a good mix of folks. A lot of smart guys and girls, and hopefully, I'm trying to work on some internship opportunities with some companies I may have worked for in the past.
Oh, cool.
Wait a minute, you want to be an
What
intern?
you're saying is,
No. I
for
was
them.
going to pull a string. I could be an intern.
No,
yeah.
Kevin is the Chevy Chase of Montgo.
Oh, now I get it. Yeah.
Thank you. I was
There
hoping someone
you
would
go.
make
He gets it.
Karsten got it. You're talking about community.
He must have been a TV guide, a former TV guide critic.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ooh. Well, it's so good to have Kevin. He is, of course, the major domo
always.
about Chromebooks.com and Stacy's co-host. Stacy is in the midst of a move, and so she's going to be a little late, but she will join us in about 15 minutes. And Jeff, if you really get sleepy, let Stacy take your place.
I'll let you know. I'll let you know.
and you can take a break. But it's great to have both of you. We have such good smart
Our
people.
Chromebook fanatics.
Yeah. Did you enjoy? I thought it was a kind of well done, the New York Times piece. Now, I know you're not a fan of the Privacy Project, Jeff, but Charlie Wartzel and Ash Ngu, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, did a really nice piece on Google's privacy policy, which when Google first started was 600 words, is now 4,000 words 20 years later. And they did
It's really more about the change in society than it is the change in Google.
Absolutely. It's Google reflecting how the internet, and the requirements of the internet changed over time. For instance, in 1999, when they talk about sharing information, they say, we only talk about our users in aggregate, not as individuals. 3 months later, that line was gone. Reduced to its simplest form, that is a statement that Google did not do exactly what Google does now as its primary business model. They clearly care about individuals. So that's something.
As well they should.
Yeah, right. But that's something that's changed. And I think that line in aggregate is still used commonly by a lot of companies saying, well, we're not, Facebook even says, we're not interested in you as an individual. We're interested in you as part of a larger demographic. But that's not necessarily the case these days.
It is and it isn't. I mean, the machine learning models that they want this data for, they're obviously aggregating data.
Those are in bulk.
But there are in other cases where the services are very highly targeted towards individuals. So it's kind of a mix between the two these days, I think.
Here is probably a better illustration of what we're talking about. From 1999, what Google collects: 4 things: aggregated search activity, personal information you provide, click-through information, and cookies. And this is the list from 2019. Your name, password, phone number, payment information. Now, this is maybe just being more accurate because, of course, they had to do all that before. Telephone number, phone number, calling party number, receiving party number, forwarding numbers.
They didn't have a telephone service back then.
No, maybe not. Yeah, audio, purchase activity.
They
didn't have purchases.
Chrome browser back then.
Yeah.
It's all coming from Android.
They
for the
did
most part,
perhaps get your IP address, but now they're saying it explicitly. Data from publicly accessible sources. That's a big change. That means they're data sharing with trusted partners, marketing partners, security partners, and advertisers. That's a two-way street. Data from publicly accessible sources. Not to, but from. Location data, of course, that's become perfected since mobile began. 1999 wasn't mobile. That was on your desktop. So who cares what your location was? You didn't go anywhere. So that's a big change.
I don't see anything about the content in your home from like the smart speakers and such, and Nest products.
Here's a good one. This is 2011 to 2012, 1 year difference. The strike through is the stuff that's gone, which is pretty much all of it. And then they're on the blue on the right is this. They pretty much replaced it, This is what the new language was for information we share. We share personal information, okay, not aggregated. Personal information with companies, organizations, or individuals outside of Google when we have your consent to do so. We require opt-in consent. Bravo, Google, for the sharing of any. Oh, wait a minute. That's just for sensitive personal information. And you have to figure out what they mean by that. So this is, it's a longer article than we have time to discuss. There's the before GDPR and after GDPR, which is a lot longer, a lot longer. That's actually probably a good thing. On the other hand, when something gets this long, does anybody read it? Sure, there's more. They're more transparent about what they're collecting because GDPR made them be, but it also makes it completely impossible to read.
Hey, we had time for Mary Meeker's slide deck. We had time to do the whole thing.
Yeah, this is shorter than Meeker's slide deck. I
It is.
By comparison, too, I think I mentioned this in a show a couple weeks ago. When Facebook first had moderators, they had a one-page guideline, which basically, if you didn't like it, get rid of it. And now it's a 40-page guideline.
Yep. Times have changed, and no better way, I think, that to look at Google's privacy policy and how it's changed over the last. That's 20 years. It's kind of amazing. Great piece, I thought. Thank you, Charlie. Google is. This is from the Post, so you're going to have to take it with a grain of salt or not. Google is joining the New York Post, not the Washington Post.
That's a Salt Lake.
Yeah, Salt Lake. It's a Murdoch corporate organization. Google joins Dish. I think this is accurate in talks to create fourth mobile carrier.
Quickly denied.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's the next item in the rundown.
Okay. Alan Mulally, who we know well when he was the chairman of the Ford Motor Company, is now an Alphabet director. According to the Post, has recently made discussions with Dish about a plan to create a fourth player. I'm glad that Alan's still in business. I really thought he was a great CEO at Ford, and so do many others. But the other thing that I liked about Alan is he was very forthright. He really he enjoyed talking to the press, and I don't think was a covert or a secretive guy at all.
And he advertised on Twitter.
And he happened to be an advertiser. So Google denies it. But let me read the denial. Is it a denial or a non-denial denial? These claims are simply false. That's a denial.
Yep.
That's a denial. Google is not having any conversations with Dish about creating a wireless network. However, he did decline to comment on whether Mulally was speaking to Dish. Maybe Alphabet's doing it, not Google.
Right. Or with Google Fi, maybe they would just not create a wireless network, but add one to Google Fi.
Yeah, it would explain, though, the Post's mistake because...
Oh, that's a good point.
Right. I mean, there is Fi, is a fourth network. It's an MVNO running on T-Mobile, Sprint, and US Cellular.
Google competing with phone companies.
Haven't we always said, though, that Google, get them in trouble? But we've always thought, we always wished Google would.
Yes.
I don't think it's a business they really want to be in, personally.
No. If they got out of the fiber business, the internet business, why would they get into the far worse, more...
Are they out or just stopped on fiber, by the way?
I think they just...
They are out.
What happened to the service?
They've been slowly shutting it down, I think.
Well, one city.
They are still available. You can still get it in a couple of cities, but other than that, they are not going to roll out new ones.
So but that's not. I mean, if you go to the Google Fiber website, that's not the impression you get. You're faster, fairer, kinder internet. If you look at the cities, Atlanta, I mean, they're still showing. Austin, they're still showing. Yeah, there are some asterisks. I don't know what the asterisks lead to.
Soon to be shut down.
Yeah, right. Upgrade your internet experience. Oh, this is because they do the deal with WebPass, which is a provider in San Francisco. Yeah. So it's not It's not Google's infrastructure. It's WebPass's infrastructure, and it's only in apartment buildings, by the way. But it's nice if you get it. Remember, Malik was in love with WebPass. He had WebPass in his apartment. He loved it. So I mean, I think Google. Well, what about Project Loon?
I was going to bring that up. Like, they don't want to be a phone carrier. They want to put balloons in the air.
Yeah, and in fact, now we know that there is a balloon that's been up for 200 some days. It's traveled almost all the way around the world. I guess they're providing internet access via those weather balloons to, what is it, West Africa? So, yeah, Loon is still around. It's not Kenya, I guess.
Well, they just last week I think we had a story that they were applying to actually provide it in some place.
Well, so now we got Amazon, by the way, which just got FCC approval to put up hundreds of satellites for low Earth orbit internet access. 12,000 satellites from Elon Musk's Starlink. So I think the total is something like 15 or 16,000 satellites for the two of them. Then you're going to have lower balloons but they're in the stratosphere, I think. So they're going to be there. Pretty soon there won't be any sunlight. It's but we got lots of internet.
Fine.
Maybe it helps with the climate change then.
Yeah. And I think that Facebook dropped its plans to fly. Remember, they had a drone that was going to provide internet. A key to
15 minutes of service. Yes.
Yeah. Anyway, I do hope that actually I am kind of rooting for Elon and/or Amazon, because the idea of gigabit internet on every square foot of the planet is really attractive to me as a podcaster, because we could do the show anywhere. You wouldn't have to worry about getting hotel internet anymore.
I don't think it would work.
You don't think it would work because of latency?
No, not latency latency
But that's why they're low Earth orbit. That improves the latency. But you're right; it's still more latent than landline.
Let's beta test.
Okay. I'll try it. I'll be the first. I'll be your guinea pig.
Put a balloon over my house, Google.
But if it's low Earth orbit, it's closer to you than...
It might be than your central office.
Central office, possibly.
Yeah, might be.
Oh.
They claim pretty low latency. I don't, we'll see. I got to wait and see. Elon's already, he put up 60 Starlinks and they've already lost 2 of them. So it's not.
I have one. One fell in my backyard.
Let me see if that's right. I want to, because when they first launched the 60 satellites, they said they had all of them. But now, as of end of June, all but 3 they have. And 2 of them have been deorbited. That means what? Crashed into the atmosphere.
Yeah, deorbited is like...
destroyed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Is that a good percentage or bad percentage? If 3 out of 60 fail, what you don't want is not so much failure is fine. You won't want to lose track of them. You don't want to lose control of them, because the key on these is that they don't run into anything. If you're going to put 12,000 bits of debris in the and admittedly there's a lot of space up there, but you don't want them up there. Final orbit will be 550 kilometers, so it is still pretty distant. That's still farther than your central office.
It's pretty, you get to cruising altitude at 35,000 feet.
Yeah.
You think you're high up.
Yeah. Oh, wait a minute. So the reason that they crashed those 2 is there wasn't anything wrong with them. They just wanted to test it. They wanted to see if they could deorbit. So this is actually responsible. They want to make sure that if it needed to, that they could take the satellite and crash it into the atmosphere, which would burn it up, of course. 5 of the satellites still raising orbits. Another 5 are undergoing additional systems checks. So it sounds actually...
Have I told you the story of Space Lab and me? Have I told you that story on the show?
No.
Space Lab.
No, you sure?
Space Lab's the one that crashed into the atmosphere, and it was a big deal, and everybody said, "Oh, Space Lab's going to hit us." And did you get hit by Space Lab?
No, I was at the San Francisco Examiner, and I offered $10,000 to the first person to arrive at our offices with a piece of Skylab.
Skylab, that's it. Yeah. Skylab.
And I called NASA and got their assurances. This thing's falling over water. No way you're paying. Told the publisher, no way we're paying.
You said it's safe.
So a 17-year-old beer truck helper named Stan Thornton arrived at our offices with minutes to spare with pieces of Skylab.
Oh, my God. How much did you have to give him?
$10,000. So we had to send one of our editors.
So did Phil Bronstein strangle you?
He was gone. He was not there yet.
Oh, okay. Did Will Hurst strangle you?
Well,
it was Will's money.
It was Will's money. So the publisher, actually, it led to my my departure from San Francisco because I got a lot more publicity than the publisher. The publisher hated that.
Oh, awesome.
So we sent an editor to Huntsville who had to spend a week there waiting for NASA to authenticate these little black blobs.
It's so funny.
And there was much panic because they said, well, we can't find these elements in Skylab. There's organic. There's nothing organic in Skylab except perhaps astronaut poop.
Oh, my God.
So we thought for a while that it was astronaut poop.
It's Skylab Coprolites.
But in fact, there was balsa wood in the lining of Skylab.
What?
And
really?
so they verified it as Skylab, and we gave $10,000 to young Stan Thornton.
Here you go. Skylab.
This was our old newspaper war thing we did.
Watch this.
We'll know where Skylab is going to fall. The experts still think it's going to happen around midday tomorrow, but they won't know where until about 2 hours before the impact. Our science correspondent, John
I wish network announcers still talked like that because I could get a job. We don't know where Skylab will fall.
Information from the Skylab Control Center at NASA headquarters in Washington.
I will be glad to grow that mustache.
It's easy to see this falling spacecraft has caught the world's imagination and attracted the world's press corps. Reporters from Japan, Australia, and Canada are here, to name just a few. They're all studying maps and puzzling over orbital charts, wondering about the predictions on Skylab's fall. And the story of Skylab's demise is being told in almost every language.
News was a more leisurely profession in those days.
But right now, Japan appears safe from Skylab. However, Australia may be on the path, and Canada and the United States seem to be prime targets. What could well be Skylab's final orbit passes over parts of Manitoba, Ontario, Quebec, and Nova Scotia. But space agency officials don't like to talk about all the land beneath Skylab on that possible final orbit. No, they prefer to talk about all the water that will be under Skylab.
Well, it's a better chance it'll hit water.
That was what they told me.
Yeah, it's going to hit the water. So you're safe.
Yeah, no chance it's over land. No chance.
Man, I don't know.
So
what
we did
network
this
that
because
was,
we shared a composing room with the San Francisco Chronicle, and we snooped on them and found out they were going to offer Skylab insurance to Chronicle readers. If you died or lost a limb, you would get a payout.
That's horrible.
From the Chronicle if you were a subscriber. We thought, so we sat there and I said, what can we do to beat them to the punch? And we came up with the $10,000 for Skylab.
Brilliant.
And then we made fun of the Chronicle for saying how dystopian they were, how negative they were.
Yeah, you're positive.
By Skylab.
Yeah.
We were positive. We were offering a reward.
Yeah. Who was the publisher that did not like that? Give him some...
Reg Murphy.
Reg. Oh, Reg. Where is he now?
I don't know.
He's buried somewhere with some astronaut poop.
So I still have a trophy with Skylab astronaut poop in it.
You do? You actually have some Skylab?
Probably the only one on the planet, Jeff.
That is so awesome. So awesome. All right. I think there's some Chromebook news, and since Kevin's here, we're gonna do that. We're gonna do that, and then we want to talk about a New Yorker article, "The Fight for the Future of YouTube." I haven't read it yet, but I'm sure Jeff, being the literate,
I haven't either because I don't want to use my New Yorker articles for the month.
Oh.
I didn't know if you were going to talk about it or not.
The paywall strikes again. Well, let's see. I'll pull it up, and then you can read it over my shoulder while I talk about our sponsor today. Actually, a good picture of Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube. She looks tough and ready to take on the challenge. How neutral should a social media platform try to be? This is Naima Jaromi. Actually, we've had this conversation many times, so we don't need to reprise it. Our show today brought to you by a very confusing sponsor. It's now I'll tell you why. They're called Hrefs, but they're spelled Ahrefs. But that's okay, because if you know the web, you know what Ahrefs are, right? That's part of the linking system in HTML. Ahrefs, or Ahrefs as they call themselves, is an all-in-one SEO tool set that's here to help you and gives you the tools you need to rank your website in Google. And this isn't snake oil SEO. This is real stuff that really will help, whether you work for a big brand or run your own small business or even do freelance work getting traffic to your website. I actually have a friend who says, well, how do I get more people to go to my website? And the nice thing about Ahrefs is it's affordable enough. I can point her to this. For instance, they make competitive analysis easy. She's a massage therapist in Sonoma. And so she says, but when I search for massage Sonoma, there's 20 people ahead of me. Well, those are your competitors. With Ahrefs tools, you can show how they're getting traffic from Google and why. You can see the pages and content that send your competitors the most search traffic, so you can see what it is people are looking for. You can find out the exact, and this is really helpful, the exact keywords your competitors are ranking for, which backlinks are helping them rank, because it's the backlinks that drive you up the ranking. From there, you can, replicate or improve on their strategies. You now have that information about what's the other guy doing that they're beating us. And if you're not getting significant search traffic, Ahrefs tools help you find topics worth creating pages for or content on. You can easily see estimated search volumes, gauge the traffic potential. They have this great Keywords Explorer tool. And if you are getting search traffic, data like their top pages report helps you know which of your pages are bringing in the most traffic. That's what people want. Give them more. If you want more, check out the blog or the YouTube channel. They've got some great tutorials on there. And I say this is affordable. It really is. You can get a 7-day trial for only $7. It's pronounced Ahrefs. The A is silent. I think this is such a great solution for people who don't want to spend a lot of money on some consultant who's going to do a lot of snake oil and hand waving. This is real information that can really help you do a better job. Ahrefs.com. Ahrefs.com. The fight.
Quick program note: Stacy will not be joining us today.
Oh, okay. She got tied up.
No.
Yep.
You can still take a nap if you want, Jeff. It's okay. This is really, if you read this New Yorker article, it really is what we've been talking about for weeks, months. I mean, it's the whole story, the ins and outs, the idea that it radicalizes people, the problem with banning people, the problem with demonetizing people, YouTube's values. What are they? Whether it should have values and how it should uphold them. In fact, that seems to be a question that even YouTube hasn't really answered. So I don't know if there's any answer in here. It's really, but it's a good article if you want a survey of the stuff that we've been talking about all this time and why it's tough.
It keeps coming back to, I was at this lunch today at this academic conference, and somebody said, what research should we do? And I said, the problem is that most of the discussion is around what does technology do to people? And that's not the story. It's how are people using the technology for good and ill? And that's what I think the story of YouTube and Facebook and Twitter really is what we're doing is it's the story of society today.
Yeah.
And regulation is an attempt to regulate our behavior. And, our good and bad stuff is about us, not the technology. It doesn't make us do that. We have agency. We know what we're deciding to do, including when we decide to be a-holes. And so that's the interesting thing about this is really we're trying to refigure out how to regulate each other.
I honestly have come more and more to that opinion that there's nothing the platforms really can or maybe even should do. It's up to us rejecting things we don't like and promote. Now, one thing that they talk about in the New Yorker article is creators for change. The idea, and a lot of companies are doing this, of creating kind of a positive force, funding a positive force. That's the kind of proactive instead of reactive way to improve content on Facebook. And there's some question about how well Creators for Change works. It does put better content on there,
which is critical. Dana Boyd talks about the data voids that exist. That's trademark. Dana Boyd's data voids. And one of the problems they have is you have things like PragerU up there,
right?
Making very slick right-wing videos.
Propaganda.
And the
propaganda.
Don't have things to counterpoint that with.
So that's exactly what they're talking about is what they call counter speech, which is creating a counterbalance to one side just to give you content to counteract it.
But as we discussed in the show before, nobody thinks they need to make a video saying the Holocaust happened.
Right.
But we need that.
Yep.
That's where I think that the Green Brothers are an important
force what they're doing,
in my view, because they make educational video about basic topics in some cases that are explanatory, that create that kind of base. We need more like them, more like that.
Yeah. So good. I think a fairly good article on here.
So not dystopian? Not
dystopian, and really just kind of more a survey of what's happened, what's been going on. And
did YouTube cooperate with it?
Yes. And Nema Jerome seems to, they've got a lot of quotes in here. Cooperate, I don't know what that means. But in fact, there's a comment from YouTube on this about their hate speech rollout, but anti-hate speech rollout. But I think the Creators for Change is the big focus here. And I think it's a very, and the issues of, okay, you can make those videos. How do you surface them? This recommendation engine problem is a problem that's not going to go away because, if you tweak it to improve engagement, you're going to, surface hateful stuff. That's what engages people.
Mm-hmm. I had this discussion today at a newspaper company here, where a very bright executive said, the Trump bump was good. Do we end up in a moral hazard of wishing for
bad
stuff?
It's good. It's good for ratings. That's what Les Moonves said, right? It's good for ratings.
Maybe bad for America, but good for our business.
Yep. And then here's an article from Casey Newton. Once again, great piece from Casey on The Verge. The pivot to privacy at Facebook is creating a problem because now bad actors have private spaces to gather. Well, what a shock.
And what do you want? You take them out of being under your nose.
Yeah.
And you can't see them, and now you complain that you can't see them.
Yeah. Le Monde, the French paper Le Monde, found a group with 56,000 members devoted largely to making anti-female comments, misogynist comments. Of course, we have just heard about the Border Patrol group. ProPublica found a group that's been operative for some time of Border Patrol agents, a secret maybe not, but private group on Facebook joking about migrant deaths and making racist and just highly offensive comments. So in other words, this is the other side of the face. Yeah, you can go anonymous. I honestly, given the choice between anonymous and public, I'd like to see the hate groups be public. But then you have this.
I think you got a point. Yeah.
Yeah. But then you have this problem of people being drawn to it. It's so hard. It's so hard. Mm-hmm. I don't know what the right answer is. Let's talk a little bit about the Chromebook. So we could start with your article about Chrome OS 75, Kevin.
Yeah, what a debacle that's been.
So what happened?
Explain that to us, Dr. Chrome.
Well, I can explain what happened. I don't have all the details as to why it happened yet. I've been.
It started coming out last week, and then they pulled it.
Yeah. In fact, last week it was actually already a couple weeks late, like two weeks late, for no apparent reason. But yes, it started to roll out, and then pretty quickly got pulled, so the rollout stopped. Now, I already had the version that they had rolled out. I did not have any issues. Then, let's see, they started rolling it out again to the Pixel Slate just late last week. So they were working on the fixes. The bugs were private. Nobody knew anything. I had asked Google for a response on what was going on, and I got nothing. It's been a week and a half since I've been waiting for that. Then finally, after the Pixel Slate started getting it a few days ago, just yesterday, I believe, is when everybody started getting it. So I don't know. I'd heard a lot of issues with the dev and beta channel versions of 75, and I did see some of them, such as the Google Play Store would load, but then when you try and get an app, it would say, I don't have internet connectivity. That's obviously not good. We've got people that had no access to their Linux containers at all. And I mean, somebody like me, I use that every day for coding, and I'd be kind of screwed. So there were definitely some issues that we know of, and I'm wondering if there are issues that we still don't know about yet.
Just relax. 74 is not the end of the world. Just stick with it.
What was good in 75? What should I be jealous that you have I don't have?
Oh, well, I mean, one of the things in 75, Jeff, is definitely geared towards the Pixel slate, and that was they finally addressed and improved the animations in tablet mode, so they're not iPad Pro-like, but they're at least good, I guess is the best way to say it. So there were some parental controls in 75. Linux, you can access Android devices over USB. So if you're rooting your phone or you're putting custom ROMs on, you can do that from a Chromebook now. One interesting thing, if you had any Android apps installed for cloud services, such as OneDrive, a couple of other ones, if you had the Android app installed with 75, it actually shows up as a mounted drive in your Files app. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. I get excited over the little stuff. I don't know.
Hey, that's why you're the host of AboutChromebooks.com.
There you go. Oh, reader mode. You get reader mode too, Jeff.
I like reader mode, actually.
I love
reader mode.
Yeah.
So it strips away all of the ads and other superfluous content, so it's just the content that you want to read.
I'm not crazy about that.
From an ad perspective?
As a publisher, right?
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, actually, Apple was the first to do this with Safari many years ago, and publishers didn't like it then, but if Chrome does it, that's a big deal. And it's actually a little surprising that Google would do this, given their business model. But I like it. I'm glad. I look forward to that. Will that go to Chrome as well, besides Chrome OS? Will that be part of Chrome?
Yeah, that'll be on the Chrome browser for all platforms.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's funny that they went, Apple got a lot of heat, but because it was just Apple, I think people kind of, oh, well, that's Apple. What are you going to do? But when Google does it,
Yeah.
Debian 10 Buster. Only Kevin cares about this.
That's not true.
No. So
there were a couple page views of this, at least 5.
So the deal with Project Crostini, which allows you to run Linux kind of it's a cheroot, right? Is that how you run it in the?
No, it's actually Linux is running in a virtual machine.
That's the crouton way. Okay.
Yeah, the Crostini is a Linux container running in a virtual machine.
Kind of like Docker a little bit or something like that.
Yeah.
And so you can you can have different Linuxes, right? You get your choice.
You could. Mm-hmm.
One of the most popular Linux versions out there, it's one of my favorites, is Debian. It's what Ubuntu and Mint and Pop OS and a lot of other spins are based on. It's kind of the community version of Linux. Buster is the most recent version. It came out July 6th. But you can't get it on your Chromebook. I guess, does that mean Google does some stuff before they allow you to download it?
Yeah, they do. They actually created the custom VM for this to all work. So they've got a lot of sandboxing in between Chrome OS and the VM and the container. So they can't just slap an image in there and call it a day. Because these things are interactive, right? You've got access to the Linux file system in the Chrome OS file system and so on. So there's a lot of mojo going on there.
You can do it yourself, though. If you're really crazy. Yeah. Kevin has an article.
I was a little crazy. Yeah. Well, it's only 3 commands. I mean, it took me 15 minutes to do. Everything seems to work, but of course I didn't test every single feature of Chrome OS and Crostini. But yeah, you can just run 3 commands and do it yourself. So I have Buster on one of my test Chromebooks. Good. It's working fine.
So you modify, basically you add it to your sources, and then you can do the dist upgrade once you add it to your sources.
Bingo.
Okay. That sounds a little risky, but what the hell? Debian.
That's why I did it on a test machine.
Debian has 45,000 apps that they maintain.
Wow.
So it is a significant. I know if people sometimes say, "Oh, I can't use Linux. There's just not enough software for it." It's like, oh yeah, there is. But that's one of the issues with Debian is that is a big project and there's a lot to do, and it's all done by volunteers and 45,000 apps, and they have to keep them all up to date, and most importantly, security patches for all of them. That is a not insignificant amount of work. So I tip my hat to the Debian project. Those guys do a great job. That's a lot of work. And if you use Ubuntu or if you use Mint or Pop OS, my current favorite distro, you should tip your hat to them too, because I was just reading a post from the Pop OS guys who people said, well, why don't you just use Debian? Why do you use Ubuntu? And they said, well, because there's only a few of us, and there's a lot of people. So Ubuntu takes 45,000 packages, makes sure all the security things are up to date and all that stuff, and then Pop OS can take the Ubuntu distro, take advantage. It's really and this is how open source works, and it's why it's so great. Everybody stands on the shoulders of each other. In fact, that's how a Chromebook works. Chrome OS is on Linux. What version of Linux is Chrome OS on? Is it their own?
That's a good question. I heard it was based on Gen 2 a while ago.
That would make sense. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not 100% sure, but that's the trick with this whole Christini thing. There's Chrome OS is on top of Linux, and you don't know it, obviously. It's just there. You're using Chrome OS, the interface. But they use the same Linux kernel to try to kind of replicate or take advantage of in the Christini container. So it's all just one platform with all these things on top of it.
Yeah. Gentoo is a good version to use because you built it yourself. You kind of roll your own from the beginning on up. And so the people who are doing Chrome OS can say, well, we're going to put that in, but not that, put that in, but not that. Stuff like that. Let's see. Stadia.
You should do a Linux show.
I really want to. You could tell I kind of want to do a Linux show. I've been we were
interesting about that though. Is there aren't the kind of personalities and players.
Well, yeah, I think we could find them. There's some really good Linux people on YouTube and stuff, and there's people like Doc Searles who writes for the Linux magazine.
But you don't have the kind of thing you're enjoying these days, which is the evil empires.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true. I think it would be more of a how-to show than it would be like this, a philosophical
which
debate.
I would need.
Yeah. I am honestly of the opinion that Linux's dominance is now very clear, and it's going to eventually just be the dominant operating system. And I think it couldn't be a better time, because the problem with proprietary operating systems is you're then reliant upon some giant corporation to keep it up to date, to fix it, to keep it secure, and that's not working so very well. And I think the at least operating systems should be not proprietary. Okay, application software can be proprietary, but operating systems, they should be non-proprietary. And I think Linux is a very good candidate. Any Unix-based operating system, but that's...
Well, I like what you said, I think, before the show. Did you predict that Windows will give up on Windows at some point?
I think so. Microsoft's money is no longer... It used to be Microsoft made its money on Windows and Office. That was it. And that was, in fact, that was the innovation that Bill Gates created. The whole notion of selling bits up until Bill Gates and Microsoft came along and started selling software. Software was basically freely traded. If you try to make money on it, the chances it would get pirated are very high. Nobody really thought you could make a business around software. And Microsoft showed that you could, and you got to give them credit, because if it weren't for Windows in the 90s, they really powered the personal computer revolution. Maybe not in the best direction, but they certainly powered it. But now that we have an open source operating system, there's a great article. It's really kind of it's an essay by Neil Stephenson, one of my favorite authors, that's 20 years old, but is very germane today, called "In the Beginning Was the Command Line." And he talks about this in, I think, a very observant and intelligent way. And in the long run, operating systems are so fundamental and so basic that they should be free and open and widely available. And the money should be made on top of them. And that's really what Microsoft has done. They have Windows, but honestly, their future is all in cloud. It's all in Azure. It's all in services. Even Apple is saying, well, we can't really sell any more iPhones, so let's make our money on iPhone users and services. That's where this is all moving. And it's platform agnostic. No, that's why you can use a Chromebook, Jeff, because it doesn't. Most of the stuff you're doing doesn't care what operating system you're using. It's on the cloud.
That's why I love it.
Yeah, it's no longer it's no longer the case that you have to have Windows or you have to have Mac OS or
well, that's the beauty of Chrome is that it's not an operating system.
Right.
It's the unoperating system.
Yeah. But it is riding.
OS.
It is riding. I mean, Chrome OS is riding on the open source, and no reason why it shouldn't. It'd be nuts to have made Chrome OS based on Microsoft Windows. That would have been a horrible nightmare. And look how we just talked about Debian, and then Ubuntu is running on Debian, and then Pop! OS is running on Ubuntu, or Chrome OS is running on Gentoo. Imagine that happening in the proprietary operating system world. It couldn't. It wouldn't. It wouldn't work. The whole thing would be a house of cards. It would fall down. But because it's just a really remarkable thing. It's one of the great remarkable success stories of technology, if you ask me, and of the internet. You know what else is running on Linux? Stadia. We're starting to learn a little bit more about their gaming play. Well, that's probably a bad word to use in that context. Their gaming platform. There's an FAQ now on Google Support, which talks about the sign-up process. It's coming in November. A redemption code will be sent to the account used to purchase the Founders Edition if you bought that. A lot of people around here did. I did not. Once you get that redemption... You did?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you get this special controller. Mm-hmm. You get a Chromecast Ultra. You get a free game that nobody wants, Destiny 2 or whatever.
Gaming as a service.
Gaming as a service. But remember, Stadia, you have to buy all the titles. You don't get any, at least there will be a free tier later, but right now you'll be buying whatever games you want to play.
The free tier, you'll still have to buy the games.
You will?
It's just free service.
Oh, please. Okay.
Well, you buy the game and then you can play it.
I know.
You play it on their server.
Here's a good question. Do you own the game in the same way that if you went to GameStop and you bought a DVD and you took it home?
They have said publicly that even if the game company stops supporting Stadia, you will still own that game and be able to play it on Stadia.
But only on Stadia.
But only on Stadia. It's a Stadia game.
So that's my question. Is it like that, or is it like the ebook you bought from Microsoft, which last week Microsoft just turned off?
They say it is not like that.
Yeah, BS.
But yeah.
Where are you going to get the bits? We decided to kill Stadia. Okay, can I have my game? What do you mean? Well, I want my game. I bought this game.
Anymore.
And by the way, they're not cheap, right? They're the same price. They're $60.
They are the same price.
It's the same price as if you went to GameStop.
Well, you'll get some discounts in the Pro version.
So Carson's got a really good insight on this, and it's mostly because of Zach, your son.
Yes, this is all Stadia is you renting a computer.
You're renting a computer in the cloud.
From Google.
Yeah. And it's a more powerful computer, even potentially a gang of computers.
Yes.
Which you wouldn't own.
Much better computer than I own, that's for sure.
And potentially
which is really for things like video editing coming up.
Well, this is all part of that same conversation. Goodbye, proprietary operating systems. You will have a thin client in your house. Doesn't need to be an operating system at all because your computer's in the cloud. Now,
I can't wait for my SparkBox.
Is a SparkBox a thin client?
It's a son joke.
Yeah. But didn't it have like a processor and stuff?
It did have a processor, but it was a pretty thin client.
Thinnish client. Actually, it's funny because Larry Ellison of Oracle fame started a thin client computer company called Think. Do you remember this? In the 90s?
God, yes.
Yeah.
It was just too ahead of its time. In fact, our friend Gina Smith ran it. And it was on a pier in San Francisco. But it didn't go anywhere because it was too soon. Had he started it today, maybe. And yet, there are a lot of us old-timers who say, well, wait a minute. Wasn't the whole personal computer revolution about getting away from the client-server architecture and having a PC on our desk? Wasn't that the whole point? I get my own hard drive, my own processor, my own video card. Have we abandoned that?
It was just that everyone has access to a computer.
Was
in that era, that was the easiest way to get access to a computer. Right. In an era of ubiquitous bandwidth, maybe that's no longer true.
I think the real question, by the way, Google has addressed this a couple of times. This is giving way too much power to the gatekeepers, the ISPs. And you'd better believe Comcast is rubbing their gleeful little hands at the notion that, oh, you mean all computing will have to go through us? Oh. Aw. Whoa, what an opportunity. None of this works if you still have proprietary ISPs. You also have to have some sort, I think you're going to have society-run government. I hate to use the word government. It scares people.
Say municipal.
Municipal. Everybody loves their city. You're going to have some sort of public internet infrastructure because this is not working either. This is another big discontinuity in this system. And all of this relies on it. Mobile devices, Stadia, according to the FAQ, will support the Pixel 3. Oh, boy. Oh, boy. The Pixel 3 3A for mobile gameplay and tablets running Chrome OS. More devices available in the future. So if you have an Android phone right now and you're thinking, oh, I can't wait. Got to have a Google.
It's interesting they say tablets running Chrome OS. Why not just any Chrome OS device?
Yeah.
It is any Chrome OS device, but it's tablets.
They have to have touch.
The only tablet that will run it is a tablet running Chrome OS.
Oh, that's an interesting way to slice that. Okay. He went to Harvard.
Okay,
he learned how to
mobile
parse.
Devices, I see.
Yeah.
So Chromebooks will still be supported.
It's all about sentence diagramming.
He knows how to diagram a sentence.
Oh,
I knew I shouldn't have skipped that class.
Harvard thing.
He learned that.
I was
in high
trying
school.
to explain
sentence
diagramming to my kids the other day.
Yeah, 6th grade. Yeah, you went to a good school. I went to public school.
Ray Bjork Public School in Helena, Montana.
Oh well, it's Helena, Montana. That's why. At this time, we have no news to. Say again.
Dreyer's English. It's a new book out from the copy editor of Random House.
You told us about this, and I'm buying. I think I bought it. An utterly correct guide to clarity and style. Oh, you can't.
Sorry, I forgot I was reading myself.
Yeah. No.
No brain.
No. Awesome. Perfect graduation gift. A sharp, funny grammar guide they'll actually want to read. And is this replacing Strunk and White? Is this the new?
God, I hope so.
With Strunk and White with white wit. Yes.
What's wrong with
Strunk and White's fine, Grandpa. It's fine.
Everybody's saying Strunk and what? What you talking about? I'll get Dryers.
So I'm now reading a book about the dictionary wars of Webster's attempt to make the English language American versus Samuel Johnson.
Oh, I love it. What a great story.
It really is.
What's
and post-Revolutionary War, the Brits looking down at us and what we were doing to their language, and that we'll never be able to understand each other in the future.
Wow. I will have Dryers tomorrow. One-day delivery is now a reality on Amazon for me. Wow.
The Dictionary Wars. That's the name of it.
Is this the book?
The American Fight Over the English Language. Nice.
Oh, I want that.
Peter Martin, Princeton University
Very
Press.
interesting. Yeah.
This man reads
I was reading
much.
that tonight with my queso fundido, trying to not get grease on it.
Why not get grease on it? Then it shows you read it. I break the spines. I write stuff in it. I want people to know.
I write stuff, but I don't want grease. It's just like, you slob you.
This is not decorative. Let's see. What happens to a game I bought if the publisher stops supporting Stadia in the future? Yes. You can still play the game. Once you purchase it, you own the right to play it. In the future, it's possible some games may no longer be available for new purchases. Existing players will still be able to play the game. So this means that they've made a deal with these publishers. Look, no matter what, you got to keep supporting this. You're in. You're all in. A Stadia account will support up to 4 Stadia controllers during local multiplayer gameplay. This is the thing I was really interested in because they said that even with multiplayer, you might get multiple computers. So everybody in the co-op game, this is one of the games, Get Packed. It's their first exclusive coming next year with multiplayer.
I'm just so happy that local multiplayer is making a resurgence.
This is couch play, right?
Exactly. This is
what families want.
What I did when I was a kid.
Yeah. You'd play GoldenEye, right?
Exactly.
Left side of the screen would be you, right side be your opponent.
Yep.
So
Odd
this is
job.
This is a odd job. So this is this looks like a Sims game. What is this? What is this with games that simulate real life? This is very popular. Apparently, you have to push. Oh wow!
Oh, that's not cool.
Yeah, there's incredible physics in this thing too.
Look at this.
Well, there you go. Yeah.
So this is couch play. You can play next to each other. It looks kind of fun. Actually, it looks like a kind of game you laugh at, right? Oh, they even call it couch. Couch and online co-op. 4-player carnage. But it's not. It's a good kind of. Oh, don't get in that machine.
Yeah, don't. Yeah.
Jeez. No, conveyor belt, ridiculous. Okay, so Goat Simulator was the first game I experienced where it was all about just kind of aimless, crazy physics, and this looks like it's kind of like that. Get packed. All right, from CoatSync. All right, that's the first Stadia exclusive. Yeah, I am glad too, Carson. I feel like this is something that we lost out on. Gamers became loners, sitting by themselves in a darkened room. The rest of the family either in their darkened room or doing something else. Now the family can play together again. I think that's good. I like it. Let's take a break. Then we're going to talk about Amazon at 25. Google's 20, Amazon's 25.
We hardly knew ye.
They're starting to become... They grow up so fast. They're moving out of the house.
They never leave.
They never leave. Our show today brought to you by Capterra. Finding software for your business is complicated, I understand. Nerve-wracking. You've already got a program you're using. Maybe it requires Windows Vista and Internet Explorer 8, but it works, sort of, except when it crashes. And the kid who wrote it, he was in high school when he wrote it for you. It was the boss's nephew's son. But the problem with that is they're gone. And your software, your whole business is running on it. And I know this scenario plays itself out all the time, all over the country. Capterra is the solution. There is state-of-the-art, great software for every business just waiting for you. Don't fear it. Embrace it. Embrace it. Capterra is the #1 online resource to help you find the best software for your business, partly because they have every program. 700 categories, all the big ones: CRM, IT, project management, there's e-commerce, there's link management tools, there's web conferencing, but there's also, it's fun to look through. Actually, I really like just browsing through Capterra. Load balancing software. Let's see. There's license management software, legal document management software, a lot of legal stuff. There's yoga studio. Here's legal billing software. You got a law practice. Practice Panther legal software. There's one. Actually, there's dozens. But once you narrow it down, you can then pick it, filter the results by product rating, users, how many seats it can have, how it's deployed, whether it's on premises or in the cloud, the features you need. You can even compare side by side up to 4 programs. They'll show you lists of related categories for further options. But the best part is the reviews. Capterra has nearly 1 million reviews now, all of them vetted from real users. That's one of the things Capterra does so well. This is such a great resource. 30,000 new reviews every month. That's 1,000 a day. That's awesome. You can discover everything you need to make an informed choice. 950,000 user reviews. That means in a couple of months it'll hit 1 million. This is so great. No matter what kind of software your business needs, Capterra makes it easy to discover the right solution fast. And by the way, once you find the right software, leave a review, pay it forward, help everybody else out. Now you might say, well, that's pretty good. How much is that going to be? $20 a month, $25 a month? $100? What is it going to cost? It's free. It's free. Free forever. It's free. From accounting to zookeeping, Capterra has every program you need. Capterra.com/twig. Join the millions of people who used Capterra last month to find every month to find the right tools for their business. Capterra.com/twig. What a resource. What a great resource. Capterra.com/twig, and it's absolutely free. Capterra is software selection simplified. You can forget that software that the kid wrote 20 years ago. What about this Instagram plan to stop bullying by scanning the comments and warning you.
You're about to say something. You
sure you want to say that?
Yeah, we're asking people to rethink comments that seem similar to others that have been reported. It doesn't even say they're snotty. If we made a mistake, let us know. Do you think that's going to do anything?
They say that it has had an impact.
Oh, good.
So, as a friend of mine at Oxford said in response, give us the data. Nobody checks their own homework.
Yeah.
I mean, we have this on Twitter. I use the thing that blocks offensive tweets and whatnot because I just don't want to deal with it, quite honestly.
Yeah, more valuable, of course, the ability to restrict commenting from people that you don't. And here's an interesting pop-up. Are you having a problem with this person? Protect yourself from unwanted interactions without them knowing. Only you and this person will be able to see their new comments. They won't see when you're online or when you've read their messages. That's kind of good. So if you're getting stalked, and I'm sure this is becoming more of a problem on Instagram, that's a good thing.
But the president can't do that.
Isn't that funny?
Neither can AOC.
AOC can't either. No public leader who is using one of these social platforms. This is a court ruling that affirmed a lower court ruling. I think it was
regarding the president, not
regarding the
AOC.
president. But I think that's the implication, right? If you're a public figure using a social network to post pronouncements, you can't block people from commenting. That's part of the deal, right? That seems completely sensible.
Two-way street.
And I'm sure it would apply to AOC.
Yeah.
It has not officially applied to her yet, but she is being sued for blocking.
Yeah.
Right.
But does that also apply to bots?
Can you block
bots? Humans do.
Bots don't have rights. Yeah, if you knew it was a bot, how do you know it's a bot?
Well, there's various mechanisms.
It's kind of hard to prove something's a bot, though.
It is.
Yeah.
There's a media freedom conference going on in London right now. Big deal conference yesterday, today, and they blocked. I'm watching. I have. The only time I have RT on is in a hotel room, and they blocked RT and Sputnik from.
Oh, wow!
They're complaining about, of course.
It's widely considered Russian propaganda news sources. Honestly, I read these stories and then I go, I'm just glad I'm not on Instagram. I'm just glad I'm not on Facebook.
Oh, shush.
That seems to me the right solution. Just don't participate.
No, you're missing good things. You're missing AOC, who's doing amazing things.
Mm-hmm. I mean, at some point, the bad outweighs the good, but I'm not there yet. So I'm on all of these just to see
at some point, the good outweighs the bad, Kevin. Have a cheery face.
I'm a non-combatant, and I kind of enjoy that position. I just say, I don't care whether the bad is outweighing the good's outweighing the bad. I just say goodbye. And maybe that'll make it worse. See, that's one of the problems, by the way, with all, and this is historic. This goes back to Usenet and the flame wars on Usenet and forums. Anytime you start getting a lot of bad behavior, the good people don't fight back. They just leave. They go, yeah, fine. And so your garden is suddenly overgrown with weeds. You don't have any flowers. You just have weeds. And I think that's kind of the inevitable devolution of a lot of social networks.
The Usenet was utterly destroyed by flame bots.
That's right. That's right. And I think that's true of a lot of fora. And I don't, I mean, maybe I should be a gardener and getting in there, wading in and weeding, putting good content in there.
We just need better tools to ignore bozos.
Yeah. For me, it's not a big political stance or anything. It's just, it's not good for me and I don't want to be there, period. I just don't like it.
Because you're also public and you get stuff. I mean,
you do too.
No, I really don't as a rule, except for your viewers complain about my cameras.
You can take that. Facebook did have a tool that would help it track hoaxes and fake news about itself. They shut it down. a couple of years ago. Storm Chaser and Night's Watch helped them track public sentiment over them. Since 2016, Facebook employees have used Storm Chaser to track viral posts, including a popular conspiracy. The company listens to users through their phone's microphone. This is a story from Bloomberg. Of course, anonymous sources, 3 former employees. Storm Chaser is apparently one of multiple tools Facebook has used to manage its reputation. But apparently they shut it down before anybody could say, hey, well, if you've got that. Facebook stopped using Storm Chaser to respond to memes in mid-2018, but they don't say why. Actually, this is a Facebook spokesperson who said, we didn't use it to fight false news because that wasn't what it was built for, and it wouldn't have worked. The tool was built with simple technology that helped us detect posts about Facebook based on keywords so we consider whether to respond to product confusion on our own platform. So don't think we knew how to stop fake news. We didn't. Nothing to say here. Move on. Move on.
You got me reading about the E Foundation now. All this talk about privacy. We first started out with that big story with Google's privacy and.
What's the E Foundation?
Oh, it's the ungoogled phone.
Oh, it's a phone.
Hey, it's Lou.
It's a platform. It's a de-Googled platform, and your data is your data, as they say.
Foundation.
Yeah. I mean,
but can you put this on your Android device?
You can put it on certain devices.
It's a ROM.
Now.
It's a ROM.
It is. And
so it's Android, but it's an ungoogled Android.
It's AOSP. Yeah.
So the minute you put anything on there.
Well, that's the ultimate problem, isn't it? I mean, you're going to give up privacy to get the functionality of the apps you want and use. But it got me thinking, do I really need to be on all these social media channels? Okay, no, I don't have to put them on there. There's an email app. There's, I could move off Gmail.
So if you use their stock apps, I guess you're safer. But the minute you put your standard app on there, it's, this is something Apple started to do with iOS 13. I think it's really good. And man, it's really scary. I put iOS 13 on my iPad. It's going to be out in the fall, but they have a public beta today. And if what it'll say, it'll pop up, hey, I can't remember, but let's say some app, Facebook, has been tracking your location all the time. Here's 3 locations it just told itself about. It gives you a map, shows you the locations that some app that maybe doesn't even need location permissions, Netflix, it just sent back information to the home office and then gives you, do you want to make this app only get location information when it's running, or do you want to leave it the way it is? I think that is a great solution from Apple. Thank you, Apple. Mm-hmm. That is really good. And it's very dramatic. They've always done this, hey, this app is, getting location information even when it's not running. You want to continue that. But by putting a map in there, saying, and here's the last locations that it just sent back to the home office, that is fantastic. Good job, Apple. Maybe that's a better way to do it. Because if you're going to take this E Foundation operating system, put it on your phone, great. But the minute you put, Hangouts on there or whatever, it's sending it back. You might as well have a Google phone because anything you use, it's going to start sending it back. You put Facebook on there, you've just breached it.
Yeah, you got to trust your app developers.
Yeah. So which one they use in their example, installing Telegram?
Mm-hmm.
They do. Now, what's good, each app in the store is scanned and analyzed. So they do have their own app store. And apparently you get information, this is kind of cool, about the app's privacy policy. So, and what information. So maybe this is good. This isn't going to be for the every
Not
Joe.
for the masses.
But,
no.
And it does have a Maps app. Okay, I'll get this. And they do apparently come with Telegram as your messenger. So, buy a smartphone.
Yeah, all 10 of you will be very happy with this.
Yeah, that's very small.
Well, that's the thing, Jeff. We all have concerns about privacy, rightfully so, but yet we're not willing to to go to the extreme, I guess, to address.
These concerns are only so valid.
No, I know.
So a little breaking news here.
Yes.
Washington Post reports the United States will investigate France for possible unfair trade practices under Section 301 of the Trade Act over its initiative to slap new taxes on Google, Facebook, Amazon, and other tech companies.
Who are they investigating? France?
France. The French measure, which is close to final approval, would levy a 3% tax on certain tech industry revenue earned inside France. Other countries are considering similar taxes on big companies. Developing story.
Who's investigating France? The U.S.?
The United States is as part of a new transatlantic trade rift, says the Washington Post headline.
Oh, my God. This is all going to end in tears.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now the U.S. is investigating France.
Yes.
I mean, I don't blame them. It's ridiculous what France is doing. But eventually, this is the splinter net, right? This is where you have U.S. internet, France internet, China internet, Russia internet. And by the way, the good news is all the good companies work for us.
Yeah.
You just can't trust any of them.
Oh, yeah. Oh, whoops.
There's that.
Whoops. AT&T says it's going to automatically block robocalls soon. New customers will get it immediately, and then as if you're an existing customer, they'll slowly roll it out.
At last.
Call Protect service. Well, at last, maybe. Remember, the FCC in June said that they could do this. They'd prevented them in the past because of First Amendment concerns. Phone companies have in the past, I can't remember which phone company it was, one of the big four, blocked messages from NARAL, the National Abortion Rights Action League, because it didn't agree politically. And
so explain something to me, boss. How is it, through what mechanism is it that robocalls can now ghost a apparently legitimate number near you? Isn't that the big difference that's occurred?
Well, for sure. That's one of the big. Here's a couple of things, and this is kind of the same reason spam took off on email. You can send email spam from any address, including White House, US.gov or whatever. That's an easy the president at whitehouse.gov. I can make an email message come from anybody. That's because email has no built-in authentication system. And furthermore, email is really cheap. So I can send out 1 million messages for pennies. So the same technology that transformed email and made it a spam haven has made it now a haven on phone calls. It costs very little to make a phone call, virtually nothing, thanks to IP networks. And it is trivially simple. You can do it. Anybody can do it to spoof the calling number, just as it was on email.
Isn't that a fairly recent? It wasn't happening. It didn't happen. It's only been moderately recently that's occurred. The spoofing of numbers has occurred. What changed that enabled?
It was always there. Same way that's always been in email. There has never been authentication systems.
It was always possible. It just wasn't.
It got really easy.
It wasn't easily automated.
I think the big change was things like asterisks, was the idea that you could create a virtual switchboard, an IP-based system. It got very cheap to make phone calls from India to the U.S., from China to the U.S. Basically, the cost of calls is nil now because of the internet, because of VoIP. So combine that with the ability you've always had to spoof the calling number. That's always been out there. That's not a new thing. Now, there are proposals. There's this shake and stir proposal that's an authentication proposal. One side of the conversation, your phone carrier uses shaken to say, this phone call is coming from our network. It is a subscriber. And then stir on the other end, the incoming network saying, okay, yeah, that's validated, and telling the recipient this is a valid authenticated email, or a phone call, just like email would have some authentication through PGP or certificates or that kind of thing. That's going to help a little bit. I'm a little nervous about these call protect services, as long as AT&T doesn't overreach and says, look, it says AT&T's call protect does 3 things. It detects and blocks fraudulent calls entirely. How do it know?
Mm-hmm.
Flags telemarketers and spam calls as suspected spam when the phone rings. That's fine. And allows you to maintain a personal block list to specifically block individual numbers. That's useless because it's, as you point out, Jeff, the numbers are spoofed. They're different every time. It's meaningless. So Yeah, you can block a number. That doesn't do anything. The real question, and I don't think it's answered, is how does AT&T determine that that's a fraudulent call? So this has been around for postpaid AT&T customers. I didn't know this. I didn't use it. You'd have to download an app and enable it. Now, thanks to the FCC's ruling, the AT&T can. So this is the key. The FCC says you don't have to get customers to opt in. You can have it by default. So if you have AT&T, you can turn it on right now. If you want, you can still receive all of your calls unfiltered. AT&T will allow you to opt out of Call Protect. It's the only thing that's really changing is its default. You're opted in by default. T-Mobile has similar features. I
wonder what that app does that you have to install. I mean, is that kind of like a gateway kind of thing that's doing some verification?
Yeah, there's a lot of apps out there right now, third-party apps like Truecaller, that have a database of fraudulent numbers. But databases really aren't very useful because, as we said, the numbers can rotate per call.
Yeah, I just don't understand why they can't do it on the network side. Why it has to be an app.
Yeah, what do you need an app for?
Yesterday, or the day before yesterday, I got a call from Jerry that he did not send me.
Wait a minute. Now it's spoofing calls from people you know.
Yeah,
How does it know that?
I don't know. That's
the worst kind of email spam, of course. In fact, that's where spear phishing and phishing emails are really deadly, is when it comes from the boss, you're going to open it. And you can't ignore a call from Jerry, right?
Right. Well, I did because I was driving.
I always ignore Jerry's calls anyway. Now, that concerns me that somehow they have your contact list.
That was weird. I did not like.
So that's illegal. Neighbor spoofing is illegal, but none of these people are in the U.S., so it's very hard to prosecute.
Right. I get a lot of calls on my mobile using my home area code and exchange.
Yeah, that's called neighbor spoofing. And
how does it know from my mobile number that that's me at home?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Location information where that mobile phone is most of the time.
Maybe. Oh, that's scary.
Most of the time. Okay.
So that's why I use as my public number a Google Voice number out of Baltimore. Because if I get a call from Baltimore, I know it's spam. I don't know anybody in Baltimore. That's a kind of a simple hack, which is get a Google Voice number with an area code that's not, from anywhere you know.
Mine's from Wisconsin.
So you do the same thing?
Yep.
Ooh, clever.
All right. So the U.S. is investigating France. And the White House is having a social media summit, but neglected to invite Facebook or Twitter. That's tomorrow. Basically, CNN says it's going to be a right-wing grievance session. It's not really aimed at discussing the issues facing social networks. It's just a chance for...
I wonder whether RT will be there.
Oh, yeah. Bring the Russians. They probably have something to say about this.
Who is going to be there if Twitter and Facebook are not invited?
Washington Post reported last week the White House has asked the event a number of right-wing luminaries who have been extremely critical of social media. Of course, even the president has been fairly critical of social media. We played that interview with Maria Bartiromo on CNBC in which he said Twitter's been very unfair to him. Republican lawmakers and conservative media personalities. Won't see Jack Dorsey there. You won't see Mark Zuckerberg there. And frankly, did they want to go there? Oh, Diamond and Silk, maybe. That'd be good. Bring them in. God. Wow. All right. One more thing to ignore.
I mean, you asked earlier about how to deal with trolls. How do you ignore the news?
No, I don't. Okay. Highly recommend. I know you appear regularly on MSNBC. Don't watch 24-hour news. This is a poison, a blight on American society. Left, right, middle. Man. It does not. It's not what's going on because it's a 24-hour news cycle. It is a. They are scavenging the world for breaking. Everything's breaking news. Read the newspaper. Read the newspaper. You don't need to watch it on TV.
The streets about what's happening to little brown children.
I agree, and you can know about that.
Yeah, we're not because we're ignored to it.
Well, some people are marching
because we're selfish. Our generation was out there demonstrating. We thought our ass was going to go to Vietnam.
I agree, but that's because we were going to get sent. That's because we were getting drafted. No, I've been thinking about that. This is an easy one to ignore. Just as the concentration, this is Dachau was easy to ignore. Auschwitz was easy to ignore. No, I think it's shameful. And I don't know. I guess we should all be going down to Brownsville. I don't know. I don't know what you do about this.
You got to stay informed about this.
Well, but not by watching MSNBC, CNN, or Fox. By reading the newspaper, reading magazines. It doesn't need. You don't need a 24-hour news cycle. That's grinding you down. I think 24-hour news cycle is a very, very bad thing.
Reality is grinding us down.
Well, that's true, but it's because you watch too much 24-hour news. You don't need it all the time. It's going to kill your limbic system. You're going to be.
Like you say, Rachel Maddow and Nicole Wallace and Joy Reid keep me sane.
They're wonderful people, but they are not keeping you sane.
And it's more than just that it's 24 hours. It's that it's
heightened. It's sensationalized.
It's 1.5 minutes.
Everything is sensationalized.
Everything has to be.
I don't think it is.
It is all breaking news. Of course it is.
It has to fit into a 3-minute and 33-second.
Not Nicole Wallace or Rachel Maddow.
That's not my criticism of it. In fact, it's kind of the opposite, Karsten, is that sometimes they'll spend 8 hours on the simplest little typo. I mean, they can. The problem with 24-hour news is, as you well know, because we had to do it on Tech TV, you got to fill. You got to fill. And in order to keep people watching, everything has to be a 5-alarm fire. It has to be breaking news. They never take breaking.
It's a 5-alarm fire.
No, because you're watching.
We're abusing little children at the border.
I agree. It's a horrible thing. We should all be doing something about that.
The problem is that when everything is a 5-alarm fire, nothing is.
Right.
But so my old friend E. Jean Carroll's story went nowhere.
Yeah, isn't that interesting?
Right?
Isn't that interesting? But it did go somewhere if you were thoughtfully reading news sources as opposed to trying to watch 24-hour news. The Times buried it, but admittedly, and they mishandled it, absolutely. But they've covered it since. And I should point out that MSNBC's moved on as well. The 24-hour news cycle is not conducive to long-term cogitation.
Gotta stay informed.
And now they're all on Jeffrey Epstein. It's all about Epstein, right?
Yeah, well, I didn't know that I knew his alleged madam.
See, you're involved. Now everybody's involved.
That's close to home. Glenn Maxwell.
Former TV Guide critic knows Jeffrey Epstein's madam.
Alleged madam.
Alleged madam.
The daughter
How
of
old
Robert
was she?
Maxwell.
Was she a young madam?
No, she's of contemporaneous age. The daughter of Robert Maxwell, who bought the New York Daily News when I was there.
FCC. Let's get some. I try not to be sensationalistic, but this is kind of a hard one not to be. The FCC just killed part of San Francisco's broadband competition law. FCC has preempted, so you didn't know this, but the FCC can preempt local laws. It's a law. So in San Francisco, we were just talking about this a little bit with Google Fiber. In an apartment building or any multi-tenement structure, generally what happens is the owner of the building negotiates with a single ISP to provide internet for that entire building. San Francisco passed a law, Article 52, which says service providers, just as they do right now with DSL, have access to the existing wiring inside multi-unit buildings, even if there's already an incumbent ISP serving the building. The FCC says, it's preempting the law to the extent it requires the sharing of in-use wiring. In other words, the entire law. San Francisco told the FCC its law doesn't apply to in-use wiring, and the law's text never uses the phrases in-use. Oh, I see. In-use is is the key phrase. It applies to any existing wiring. The FCC says that could be interpreted to include wiring that's actively being used by another ISP. And of course, what you don't want is a competing ISP to come in and unplug the incumbent ISP. The point of the law is to give residents some competition, a chance to switch ISPs. If you're in a big apartment building, in almost anywhere in the country, you have one choice, the provider of that building. That's it. You don't have a choice of price. You don't have a choice of provider. That's it. I think this is at least a well-intentioned law. Ajit claims the ambiguity over whether the law does allow simultaneous use of wires is enough reason to preempt the law. But of course, we know the real reason because the FCC never met a telecom company it didn't love. The House of Representatives, by the way, voted to block Pry's proposal on June 26th. But in order, of course, to make that law pass, you'd have to get through something called the House of Lords, a.k.a. the U.S. Senate, and the King, President Trump, would also have to agree, and that ain't going to happen.
I'm not familiar with the San Francisco housing market as well as you would be, Leo. It's all rentals for the most part, no?
Well, a lot of rentals, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just thinking about the broadband.
And a lot of multi-tenant, right?
Right.
And as I said, Malik, who lived in a high-rise, I think, loved his ISP, but he didn't have a choice. I guess if there were wireless providers, I think maybe 5G will solve this. If you get high-speed wireless, then there's no wires and there's no.
But it's not going to work through buildings, I thought.
Fix this.
Oh, you could put something in the window. 5G will fix this.
5G will not.
And if
fix
it doesn't,
this.
Elon Musk Starlink will fix this.
Satellites will fix this. 5G will not fix this.
Wireless will fix it.
5G is just for home is just a last mile thing.
Project Loon.
Project Loon will totally fix this.
Yeah. 25 years old this week, Amazon, and a great BBC piece showing the numbers. The Amazon empire. Online sales 2018, $234 billion.
It's still just a fraction of commerce.
It's going to get it all, though, right? This is what worries me. In fact, I bookmarked Walmart.com just because I don't want Amazon to get it. I think that we need some competition. And I know, I just immediately go to Amazon.
Exactly,
yeah, I go to Amazon right away. It's default.
Pure as the driven snow. There was a story in Long Reads this week about grocery stores just fearing the future.
Oh,
trying
God,
to
yes.
redesign themselves experiences.
We went to buy furniture at a brick and mortar store over the weekend, and they couldn't even. No, I'm sorry. It was it was Friedman's Lumber. It was like a big hardware store. They could barely be bothered to help us. Yeah, it's over there. It was like, and honestly, it's just a brick and mortar's dying.
Yeah.
7.7% of all retail in the United States goes to Amazon. That's a pretty hefty number. And it's only going up. 199 average monthly U.S. uniques. How many people are in the U.S.? That's like
330 million.
It's like almost everybody. 330 million people, 200 million of them visiting Amazon. 100 million Prime subscribers, 24 million Echoes sold, 12 million Fire tablets sold. They sell 88.9% of all ebooks. 42% of all physical books. I just bought a physical book from Amazon, not from Walmart.
So I run a group of media people who are trying to do commerce. And they recognize that just as they were stuck with Google for traffic and Facebook for users, they're stuck with Amazon for commerce. And the thing that tends to drive conversion for a commerce offering on their sites more than anything else is if it says Prime.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I do not buy anything that's not Prime on
Yep.
Amazon.
No, I want it.
And it's silly that I do.
And that book that I bought, because you told me to buy it, the English book, 1-day delivery. It's coming tomorrow.
I'm surprised it's not already at your house.
It probably is. I'll probably go home and it'll be there. And can I tell you, we still have an independent bookstore in Petaluma, Copperfields. But when I went in there to get a bestseller that had just come out in the last few days, they said, yeah, we don't have it yet. Because they're shipping a big box from the publisher. They'll get it in a week. I'll have it tomorrow from Amazon. It's pretty hard.
I find the opposite. When I go down to the Princeton bookstore, they tend to have books before Amazon does. Probably violating the rules.
Oh.
Some independent stores now, I find that you can get them before you can on Amazon.
Oh. Prime Day is coming up in about a week. That is a big 2-day event. The biggest, I think one of the biggest e-commerce days of the year at Amazon. Amazon warehouse workers in Minnesota are going to strike. 100
Might not be
employees.
getting your stuff in one day.
Yep.
Or you'll get it from another warehouse.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So Amazon says, we're already giving them plenty of money.
Those people walk an awful lot.
They do.
15,
they work
18
hard.
miles.
They work hard. Yep. Amazon did confirm that unless you explicitly delete your Echo recordings, they keep them forever. I didn't think otherwise. But maybe they'll change that now that everybody knows. This was in a response to a letter from Chris Coons of Delaware. Senator Coons asked, how does Amazon use and retain customers' Echo voice assistant data? We retain customers' voice recordings and transcripts until the customer chooses to delete them. Period.
But
even then there are exceptions. Yeah.
Metadata, skills, third-party developed skills, they get to keep the information. Yeah.
Well,
Foundation, I'm telling you, Foundation.
If you have an Echo, did you think otherwise?
No. I mean, you're putting a microphone in your house.
I don't care.
You know you are. So can you complain about it later?
Oh. Do I have a change log here? Yes, I do. Let's do the change log and then we can go home.
Oogle change log.
It's the Oogle change log, ladies and gentlemen.
Help to wake me up.
Prime Video, Amazon, now on Chromecast and Android TV plus YouTube on Fire TV. Some deal with the devil has been made between Google and Amazon. You can watch Amazon Prime Video now on your Chromecast and Android TV devices.
No mention of the Echo Show devices.
Because that was a big problem, right? There was a big battle over YouTube, and Amazon didn't like the YouTube app, and then YouTube said, well, you're not doing it right, and then it's gone.
Mm-hmm.
I would like it on my Echo Show. I would like that. Google is making Night Sight one of the main camera modes on Pixel phones. So, as you probably know, when you have a Pixel and you go to the phone, there's some defaults, some choices that are always visible, and then there's more. They're going to take Panorama, shove it back into more, and make Night Sight, because that's
smart.
Yeah, that's like the thing that this phone does better than anything.
I take every photo with Night Sight on. Daytime, nighttime. No, seriously.
Really?
So
yes, it's so nice.
So now it's Night Sight, portrait, camera, video, and more. And more has panorama, photosphere, photo booth, slow motion, time lapse, playground, lens settings, and so forth. I look forward to getting an update to my Samsung Galaxy S10 Plus. Apparently the June update enhances its low light photography to be roughly equal to Google's. We'll see. Google's testing a play button for Chrome's toolbar. Do you want a play button on your toolbar?
I don't.
I don't. Where will it be? Right here. That's gonna... I don't get it. Is it to play whatever videos on that page? I guess it must be. Those videos play anyway. I want a not play button. I want a stop button. That's what I want. It's in Canary now.
You can mute the tabs or the sites.
Yeah. Yeah, I actually use Brave, which is a Chromium adaptation that automatically stops that stuff. Although, lately I've been thinking about switching to Firefox because I'm worried about Brave has other agenda, including its own cryptocurrency, BAT.
Currency, that's right.
Yeah. So I'm thinking maybe I'd be better off
with the open web.
With Firefox, the open one. Do you use Firefox? No, you use Chrome because you're on Chrome OS.
Yep.
You have to.
Mm-hmm. Unless I use an Android browser.
And do you use Firefox on Android?
No.
No. Use Chrome. Okay. Yeah.
Just Chrome.
Just Chrome. Android Q Beta 5 is out. I'll leave that to you to install. I have it on my Pixel, but honestly, it's been so shaky, I don't even use the Pixel anymore because the betas are kind of rocky. So once they settle down, maybe I'll go back. Google has a live camera translation. They've talked about that before at I.O. It's now getting smarter and 60 new languages. So that's pretty good.
I don't think either of the translation side has to be English anymore either. It used to.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So you could do whatever to whatever now.
That's the cool thing, is it can go from whatever to whatever.
New languages include Afrikaans, Arabic, Bengali. That's going to be useful for me when I go to the Middle East. Bengali, Estonian, Greek, Hindi, Igbo, Javanese, Kurdish, Latin, Latvian. Latin? Do you see Latin signs a lot? Maybe in Pompeii. Latin? Latvian, Malay, Mongolian, Nepali,
I'm sure that Karsten will use it.
Karsten.
I actually never took Latin, but my wife did.
Oh.
I took 2 years of Latin.
Very
Post hoc
in her
ergo propter hoc.
Mm-hmm.
That's Latin. Hic hic hoc. Huius, week, conco.
O ubi, es me, sabubi. That's all I know.
And that's just because it says booby in it. Yeah, I know. Schoolboys. I didn't know about this, and I'm not happy. Google Drive and Photos Sync goes away today.
It's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah, I'm very happy.
It's already
very
gone.
happy about it.
Yeah, you're happy.
The problem is all these photos I never meant to sync.
Oh, because they were on Drive. Okay.
I can't kill them in Drive because it will kill them in Photos.
Okay. Okay, good. So you get the backup and sync for your desktop. I do use that, and that gets all my my good DSLR photos up into the Google Photos interface. And then you're going to have a new option in the Photos web interface that lets you choose the pictures from Google Drive you'd like to put on Photos. So that's good. Yeah, that's better than automatic. I like that. Google has recreated, if you've got AR in search, I guess everybody does, you can now visit the Apollo 11 cockpit for the 50th anniversary. So what do I have to search for to do that? This is launched today. It's the AR experience. Place users in a 3D creation of the Apollo 11 command module. Oh, look, that's cool.
And then you can put it in your own space as well and walk around it.
Yeah. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
I love commemorations of this because honestly, I know this was 50 years ago. It's the best thing we ever did in my lifetime anyway.
You'd think they could have cleaned off the capsule there a little bit.
No. That's because it came through the Earth's atmosphere. It got some flames. Looks a little rusty, doesn't it? Though.
Yeah.
Can you walk around inside it?
Yeah, apparently you can get in.
Okay.
Later this month, Neil Armstrong's spacesuit, and you can see what it's like to be in the spacesuit. I think this is cool. This is cool. Here's a glove. The EVA glove. Wow, that's cool. Does not look very comfortable.
A lot of duct tape on that.
A lot of duct tape holding that thing together. This is the repairs in the beta cloth medical container. This is John Wilkins' 17th century manuscript. I don't know how that got in there. Here's Reatha Clark King, a physical chemist and principal investigator, contracted to work with NASA to study select chemicals of special interest for rocket fuel. Rocket fuel investigator. Right up there with the glove. It's an interesting mix of photos. I don't get it. And finally, Google Nest is killing its smartwatch apps for Wear OS and Apple Watch. Nest is no longer supported for Wear OS. This is, of course, goes along with the replacing of Nest.com with a new Google Nest.
I think this is a mistake.
Will they have a new app to replace it?
I don't know. I threw this on there because, again, I think it's a mistake. I mean, there are times when voice works great in the home and so on to turn the thermostat up or down or whatever. There are times when voice does not, though. Like if I'm watching TV, my wife's falling asleep, I don't want to shout out, hey, turn the air conditioning up. Something on my phone, something on my wrist.
So you're going to have to fire up your phone. You can't do it on your watch. According to Google, only a small number of people use the watch apps. So they're going to do mobile apps and the assistant.
That may be true of any Google Watch app.
I was going to say, a small number of people actually using Wear OS apps, or Wear OS.
Yeah.
But
they're killing the Apple app, too, the Apple Watch app.
True.
If you're using an Apple Watch, you'll no longer be able to adjust your thermostat or change the home away mode from your watch. However, the actions you were able to take on your watch are all available in the Nest app on your phone. So just pull out your phone. You will continue to get notifications on your watch with the Nest app. And
it's cold, but you can't do anything about it.
Yeah, sorry. And that's your Google changelog. Oh, I like that.
Yeah, I like that too. That was good.
Is that my computer?
I have no idea how that happened.
We're getting Neil Armstrong in the little audio chatter from the moon. Man, it is mine. It is mine. I wish, I don't know. I wish we'd stayed on the moon. Okay. I think we can wrap it up with your picks of the week. Because poor Jeff, what time is it now?
Yeah.
It is 12:23.
Oh, man. And do you have to get up in the morning?
And then Friday morning, I have a 6 a.m. flight.
Yeah. Let's get this over with. But first, very important word from our sponsor, ExpressVPN, the #1 VPN solution. I think everybody listening to the show knows you want a virtual private network for a couple of reasons. One, for security. When you're in an open Wi-Fi access point, like Jeff is in Madrid, you don't know what those hackers in Spain are up to. With VPN, you're protected. Your traffic is encrypted and doesn't enter the public internet until you get to ExpressVPN servers. By the way, they have one near you in Spain, Jeff. In fact, they have them all over the world. That's another reason ExpressVPN is awesome. You can emerge into the world in any country you want. So geographic restrictions are a thing of the past. No more internet with borders. It also is great for protecting your privacy. We know that internet service providers and mobile phone carriers track what you're doing online and even sell that information to marketers. ExpressVPN blocks them out. They can't see what you're doing online. Now, I have to say, when you're choosing a VPN, you got to think about this because you're really just kicking the can down the road. No longer can the ISP see what you're doing, but the VPN provider can. So choose a VPN provider who protects your privacy, protects your security, and that's ExpressVPN. A third-party audit was completed yesterday. I was very pleased to see this on ExpressVPN, and they said everything they say in their privacy policy is absolutely true. They do not log your contacts. They do not log what you're doing. They know nothing about what you're doing. And ExpressVPN's new cutting-edge server technology, they call it Trusted Server, this audit said does exactly what they say it does. Trusted Server prevents the operating system and apps from writing to the hard drive. It sandboxes your VPN traffic. It's a whole new standard of privacy and security. No one knows what you're up to, including ExpressVPN. It's time to stop hackers, stop Big Brother, and stop internet companies from grabbing your data. Take back your online privacy and security. It's what I use, expressvpn.com/twig. And by the way, not only is it the best, securest VPN, it's also the fastest because they've got so many servers. They really work hard to make sure that there's no penalty to use ExpressVPN, that you're on the internet the same way you would be without it. Apps, one-button click apps for every platform, so it's very easy to start and stop the VPN service. And at less than $7 a month, it's very affordable. Now, you're going to say, I know you do, I hear it. Oh, but Leo, I know about XYZ VPN that's cheap. It's free. Yeah, well, believe me, it costs some money to run that VPN. It's free because they're doing something like injecting ads, selling your information. No good VPN service is going to be free. ExpressVPN is a very fair $7 a month, and it has a 30-day money-back guarantee. It's actually less than $7. Look, if you get the one-year package, you'll get 3 extra months free, and that makes it even more affordable. ExpressVPN.com/twig. You got to use that address. ExpressVPN.com/twig. 3 extra months free with a 1-year package. Now, I've been saying this for months. I've been saying it for years. ExpressVPN is the most private, does not log. Read the privacy policy. You can see they are absolutely pure as the driven snow. And now we know, thanks to an independent audit from PwC, that ExpressVPN, #1 on Tech Radar, is also completely secure and private. I love that. ExpressVPN, you don't have to trust me. You don't have to trust anybody. You can believe it. It's right there, PwC's report. ExpressVPN.com/twig. Here's the article on Tech Radar Pro. ExpressVPN, latest VPN provider to get audited. And by the way, this is a Tech Radar who does rate ExpressVPN their #1 provider. So that's awesome. Really awesome. Thank you, everybody, for listening to the show today, for using ExpressVPN, and all of our sponsors. Before we go, though, we've got to get Kevin's stuff, his pick of the week, Mr. Tofel.
So, yeah, I'm going along with my community college theme. I mentioned I'm doing abstract data structures and all my programming. Found an open source IDE that we use, and it's actually very functional, not the kind of function where you would create a big application, but for learning, it's actually fantastic because of the debugger, and it's open source, which kind of fits in with a lot of the themes we talked about. It's called JGrasp. It's made by the Auburn University.
Huh.
Yeah.
But this is based on Eclipse, so the IDE is Eclipse.
This is built in Java, actually.
Oh, interesting.
And it runs on the Java virtual machine, and you can use it to program just about anything. But the viewer, where you can I'm working with
they have a plugin for Eclipse, but they have their own IDE as well.
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, it's just amazing to look inside a data structure, for example, such as an array, and see what's in each thing. And as you run each line of code, the visuals actually change in the debugger to show you what's happening. It's phenomenal for learning, and again, open source, fantastic.
Very cool.
Yeah.
And free. JGrasp, JGRASP.org.
Yeah.
Nice. Wow, I'm not familiar with this. I'll have to give it a try. Very cool. Jeff, I know one number, midnight, 6 a.m., but let's have another number from Jeff Jarvis.
So real quickly, giant GDPR fines for breaches we knew about. British Airways, 230 million, Marriott, 123 million from GDPR.
Yay.
Or guest records compromised.
Yay.
To some extent, yes, carelessness. To some extent, file under crap happens. To some extent, file under when it does happen, do the right thing.
Right. No, this is a big part of GDPR that I'm 100% behind, which is mandated. If there's a breach, you're mandated to report it. And I think this is great. I presume that's the fine, is that they didn't report it.
And the maximum fine is 4% of global turnover. Those fines were 1.5% of the BA and Marriott turnover.
That's significant.
Which is very significant.
Wow. That's very significant. Holy cow. Marriott, that breach went on for 4 years.
Yeah.
It was particularly egregious. Well, good. I'm glad that that's. I think that there's sometimes when you got to spank them before they do the right thing. That's my motto. Jeff Jarvis, go to bed. You poor guy. I am so sorry that we kept you up so late, but thank you for being here from Madrid. Buzzmachine.com. Jeff, of course, is the esteemed Leonard Tao Professor for Journalistic Innovation at the Craig Newmark Graduate School of Journalism at the fabulous City University of New York. Times Square, my friends.
Center of the universe.
Center of the universe, and he'll be back there Friday. Thank you, Jeff. Thanks to Kevin Tofel. His AboutChromebooks.com is the definitive source for Chromebook and Chrome OS information. Really doing a great job. Is it just you?
It is.
That's a labor of love.
All you need.
It is.
Dr. Chromebook.
It is.
Dr. Chromebook.
Yep.
You can also find Kevin on the Stacy Higginbotham hosted IoT podcast. And anything else you want to plug?
IoTpodcast.com.
IoTpodcast.com.
No, that's all I can do between class and those two things. That's keeping me busy.
I love it that you're in class. I'm gonna get you into Lisp, though, my friend. You gotta go back to the roots. Go back to the roots, man.
There you go.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for joining us. We do This Week in Google every Wednesday, 1:30 Pacific, 4:30 Eastern, 20:30 UTC, the middle of the night in Madrid. If you want to watch live, you can. Just go to twit.tv/live. There's audio and video streams there. If you are watching live, you should chat live. Our chat room is awesome at irc.twit.tv. You can also get on-demand versions of everything we do at our website, twit.tv, in this case, twit.tv/twig. Or, best thing to do, subscribe. There's buttons there right on the webpage. There's also a whole page explaining the process at twit.tv/subscribe. But I bet you can figure out how to do it. Just pick your favorite podcast program. I like Pocket Cast. There's Google Podcasts. There's Google Play Music, Stitcher, Slacker, Overcast, Spotify, and we're everywhere. Pick your favorite program and subscribe, and that way you'll get it the minute it's available Wednesday evening. Thanks for being here, everyone. We'll see you next time on This Week in Google. Bye-bye.